Alright people, welcome back to YouTube, and today we'll be taking a break from a topic called as WCF checklist, and we'll be focusing over the topic what I call as a jQuery as God. Alright, so why would I say that? In the back of days I came across a requirement from a client, and which was to load a record on a page, tons and tons of record loading on the page, and that thing should be very fast, very effective. It should have a paging, it should have sorting, it should be very flexible, and it should be very fast. So first thing, if you think of something, what can you think of loading a data on your page? When you say you want to load tons and tons of records, first thing comes in your mind when you're dealing with ASP.NET, you use the massive controls like grid view, or lightweighted controls like repeater, or list view controls, which gives you a lot of functionality. Alright, so if you check out my Visual Studio, I'll give you an idea. Alright, so first thing what we are going to do over here is, this is a demo where you see a normal grid which is simply got bounded by a SQL data source, which has a by default query along with that. So this is my table. I got a table in which I got ID, I got my developer name, I got the expertise and the level of expertise. So this is what we have basically. Alright, and in the solution explorer you can see I got my database, I got my CSS if I have any, then I got my data engine, my service, which I'm not using right now but I'll be using when I'll be dealing with jQuery. Right, apart from that I got images, I got model in which I'll be keeping my class, which which I'll be using to fill the whole data, and the jQuery of course. Right, so let's get rid of that and look at the normal structure. This is a normal grid view, right, with all the functionalities like paging, deletion, everything is given to me like by default. You can see over here everything is given. So basically I'm not coding for anything, right? So this is pretty easy. So when I run this thing, one second, so when I run this thing, it loads up very quickly, right, with all the functionality which I am expecting, like sorting, like paging, like selection, a lot of things like edit, cancel. I got a lot of things going on, and things are pretty easy with this. But when you think in terms of huge data, right, controls like grid view fail. Even they perform, they get you the data, but they take a lot of time. In fact, for sorting, for anything you can think of like selection, that kind, in case of editing, it does the whole thing, because every time you click on something you do a pushback. If you see over here on the top side, you see a flicker, right? You're doing a pushback. When you do the pushback, the whole content of the page get posted to the server, and right now on my page you see only a grid. But think of situation, right, where your page is wholly loaded with a lot of controls, and when you do a pushback, your lot of controls and a lot of data goes to the servers unnecessary, right? So there's a lot of transfer of data over the wire which we don't require. So if you look at my Firebug is open right now. When I'm doing a post, right, when I'm doing a post, you can see I'm getting 13.7 KB of data. Right now I got 27 records, so it's not that big deal. 13.7K is okay for you guys, but think in terms of like your page is loaded with a lot of controls, and when you do a pushback, this size is gonna grow very big. It's gonna take a while, right? So if you open a request, you can see your headers, you can see the post, the things you posted, your view state, and blah blah blah. In return, what you got, the response and everything, right? So this is the basic what we do in terms of normal binding and all in order to get the requirement done, right? So now let's bring the jQuery into the picture, and let's see what jQuery can do for you. Right, so I'll go to my source. I've done some changes. Please don't look into the code. Code is pretty ugly right now, so it may be a chance you get confused, so don't look at the code. I'm simply enabling the JavaScript. Alright, and it is not letting me do that. Why in the blue? So now I have jQuery, right? And apart from that, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this thing. I mean, I have written some logic, something crazy, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rerun this thing again, so you can see. As you can see, I have my grid. Alright, this is my grid which is loaded. And 1 second, I would like to make some changes, which would be 1 second. Just hold on. Alright, where's my div clear both container. Let's get rid of a container is fine. And what about this guy? This div notification is okay. Float left. Alright, so float left, and I'm gonna hit refresh again. So whoopsie. Alright, so you can see the buttons, right? This is a crazy effect. Alright, so the section from here to here, what you see is came from the jQuery, which has the paging, which has the sorting capabilities. In fact, the records come very fast as compared to the normal grid is getting loaded. So in order to prove that, what can I do is, you can see this is a normal pushback when I do the paging, sorting, any kind of stuff on this grid, right? And this is a normal table which I have drawn myself. Alright, and in order to load this whole table, I'm calling a function called as get employee. Get employee is a method which is responsible for fetching the data from the DB and give it me back in terms of a JSON. Now if you look, the data over the wire has been transferred as 526 KB, and this is 13.17 KB. Now let's have a look. What if I do next? It does not affect. You see, the output is 513 bytes only, right? But when I did the next in this grid, the data was 13.17 KB. Let's do the sorting, and if you look at this carefully, very carefully, you don't find any flicker at the top. There's no such thing as a postback, right? Then every time you see, the data gets less and less. It caches the data, kind of, so you can imagine 13.17 KB and 489 bytes. There's a lot of reduction in the data. When you think in terms of tons of data, right, over the wire, and you think in terms of a normal grid view, and you think in terms of a JSON and AJAX jQuery call, you do a lot of optimization. So when I presented this to our client, the client was very happy that using this, we are able to do a lot of things very easily. The data is getting loaded very fast, and this stupid animation, which was not supposed to happen but is happening right now for some reason, at which I need to look at it. Right, so this is our topic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build this whole thing from the scratch. The plan would be very simple. First thing what we'll do is we'll work in the back end. We'll create a service first of all right? Then we'll get the mechanism, we'll get the data into the objects. Alright, once the objects are loaded, we're gonna make a call from the front end, a jQuery call, the AJAX call, using which we'll get the data. Alright, and then we're going to fill the, we're going to design this whole table by our own hand. Then we're gonna do for the paging, we're gonna work for sorting, and apart from this, I was kind of thinking of like drag and drop functionality to look much more cooler. A lot of things we're gonna do, but I hope this video gives you an idea. This is going to be a kind of a series. It's going to be like 4 or 5 videos which you'll be looking at, and this will give you a lot of idea how the jQuery works and how you can do a lot of things using a jQuery. So if you like the video, please subscribe, and please be tuned for the next series. Alright, thank you for watching.